Yo, what's up guys? It's 4 a.m. over here and apparently we got a developer notice and let's check that out. Did already do a little bit of a sneak preview, but let's see what we have. So we got the new dimension, which is going to be the one all the way on the right. And then we also have a new awakening for Infernos and Hellhounds. And we're going to check out both units in a second just to see where I think could be some potential of some of these units. So you have Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. Sure, we hope that you have a chance to dive into the collab. What a Gandalf! That's the thing. The new dimension since included since the Sacrion. Yep. Thrilling news for the new Second Awakenings. Yep. We also prepared dev mode with more exciting. Please go to for the details. Okay, so this is going to be the new one. Okay, cool. Yep. Fiery stuff. Looks pretty dope. Not too bad. Sure. And we're going to go for the Awakening for the Hellhounds and Infernos, which going to be an interesting unit. The condition for this dungeon is excludes 4 stars, which I think for new players, a lot of these dungeons are that hard nerfed right now where it's not really an issue that they're like actual difficult. But 4 stars do make it available. So probably you have to farm some other 2A's first and then you can farm these 2A's. This is kind of what, if you go more beginner-ish. So Second Awakening, Hellhounds, which will get 3 heads. That's actually pretty dope, not gonna lie. And then we have Infernos, which look pretty badass. Okay, like the looks of them, so in additional Spiritual Realm Infernos and Inferno wants a star of Steam. Yep, okay, sure. Okay, we have some skills available already. So I was expecting the skill 3 to have more because skill 3 is the real powerhouse of this unit, but he becomes more of a damagey-ish unit himself, I guess. So we have the bites the enemy to decrease its attack speed for 2 turns and recover for 30% of the inflicted damage. Okay. And then attacks the enemy 2 turns to discover or disrupt the HP recovery for 2 turns each hit. It is more of a PvE unit, and I'm thinking where in PvE does that actually add in? And I would say nowhere, because none of these bosses are actually healing that much outside of maybe the what's it called? Steel Fortress. So Steel Fortress, maybe a little bit. Let's see what we have over here. So normally we have, these ones has like a death break, right? Yeah, a death break on the S2. Okay. So we now have a provoke with a 80 chance. Okay. On critical hits, increase your bar. Sure. The death break will be AoE and probably goes up all the way to a 100%. That's pretty nice. But we also have the moment of enemy death attack to all all enemies and disturb their recovery HP by 1 turn. So this could be a pretty high nuke for using it as a suicide squad team in Siege, is what I kind of see. But if it's going to be that interesting, not too sure, not too sure. Of course, they get the base stats. So a Seek will go from a base stat unit of a 2-star to a 4.5-star, which makes him a lot more viable for also the Temple of Chaos, because Temple of Chaos is either Hwahi or Seek. And Seek was kind of low on damages because of base stats. He will get a lot better base stats right now. But I think for him, he will not improve that much on attack, but more on HP and defense, I guess. Yeah, those are talking about these things, various teams, new effects. Wait, new effects on the last curse? It's not really a new effect, I guess. Provoking. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, they're hyping up these 2 skills. Not really too crazy. I will look at the other stats of the other, or like at the other units of the family, and maybe most of the time they don't share the most interesting one out there, just the previous more used one. So I think that there might be more interesting than these 2 itself to it. Then we have this Dimensional Rift. Okay, that is the new boss. So that also does mean that we will have new runes in there. They did mention way back when they released Violent Ancient. Are they now going to release Violent Ancient? So these are a bunch of the skills. Probably we figure out some team that is not going to be that annoying. These are the units next to it. Doesn't look something like crazy passive and annoying, so it's not that bad. Okay, then we have the rewards. Violent, Fatal, Seal, Determination, Enhance. So that's just violent and crap. That's just, okay, Ancient Violent runes. Will that be good though? Will that be for you to transfer over to start farming Ancient Violent? Well, they did mention in the past, it would be way too far for me to search, but they did mention on the, I think on the video, or if they were going to, like they had a Q&A when they released Dimension Hall, they did mention that they were not going to do that. However, Dimension Hall was released in 2019, I think. So that's been a while. That's been 7 years. The game has changed. Is this going to be, everyone is going to start farming this right now? All of the other sets are kind of ass, whereas most of the other dungeons, if you go to Lumen, at least you have a Vampire in there, and you have a Will in there. With a Elunia, you have Despair, Will, and Nemesis that are pretty decent. This one in particular is the similar thing to the Swift one, where maybe Swift one even has some better sides to it. This one is just, well, maybe it gives you a little bit of chance of getting Seal. Like the Seal one, since we're not really farming the Spiritual Realm, it might be your only shot to actually get some Seal runes in there, which might not be that bad. But yeah, Violent, I would have to see if it's worth to go for that. The thing with Violent, though, if you go for Swift Rune, you just want to have speed. If you go for Will Rune, it doesn't matter as much. But for Violent, anything that high rolls is usable. So on that accord, it might be interesting to do this, but I'm still kind of in the midst of going for a dungeon that has 2 in there. I recently switched myself into Lumen because I want to have better Vampire runes because I'm not really farming Necro. If this is the right way to go, I'm not too sure about that yet. So, okay, this is going to be exciting. Yep, share details. Might be understanding for that slightly different. Yep, along with this dimension update, the Summoners War 12th anniversary is approaching. We're deeply grateful for the previous... Precious? I thought my English was bad, but sure. Is that a word? I don't know. We share it with you, blah, blah, blah. Cool, claim your event. Okay, cool, cool. At least they're doing something that is a little bit more hype. This is active. This is active before. Okay, so if you create a new account, people cannot start rerolling on this one. That is a smart thing to do. Otherwise, people would reroll this, get one LD scroll, and like sell the account. You know how that works. So yeah, it's pretty much just the Hellhounds and the Infernos. Let's look at the Hellhounds and the Infernos. And this is my old account because on the Steam client, it still doesn't show this shit in full screen. So we have to look at it from here. Where do we have the Inferno? Inferno over here. Fire Inferno. Targos, what do you have? So these are going to be all provoking kind of units if we take the assumption that they go for the same skill upgrade as the Dark one. Is the Dark one an HP type? Why do you... Wait, he did provoke, right? We read the provoke right. Why the hell would you provoke on an attack type unit? That's just awkward. Well, it's an attack type unit that does damage by max HP. On the it's 3, which is a little bit awkward, but the Awakening is definitely not going to change the type it is, but the type should be changed because that doesn't make too much sense. Yeah, we're going to provoke, and your attack type, and we're dealing damage by your max HP. That's pretty ass, but sure. Let's go back to this thing. What do we have for the other skills? So Elemental leads on crit rates don't really add too much. Could maybe be a thing here and there. So we have this that will be provokes, death breaks on these. These continuous damage. Okay. I'm not sure how this hits. Do you dot on everything that you hit? I haven't seen this unit in a while. Like you only see it in TOA, so... Okay, so you stun one and you dot the other. So I'm kind of expecting him to be stun and dots, and then it's another like free-to-play Rika. That's kind of what I expect from him. This one has this skill. I remember this skill. That's actually a pretty... I think it was a stun, right? Receives critical bonus and stuns the enemy for 1 turn. Okay, might be a nuker. This one is actually... Yeah, no, here we're talking. Here we're hella talking. You are a 50 bar gain. That is an insane amount of bar gain for a crit buff. If this thing gets anything on top of that, Purion is gonna be really nice. I remember Purion was actually a meta unit in Summoners War Chronicles, but I'm expecting this guy, I'm expecting something from him. Like 50 bar gain, then we're talking. What about this one? Never seen this unit in my life. Reduce attack power, yep. Overwhelming, reduce the attack bar to 0. It's not bad, always lands crit. Could be some nuking-ish kind of type of unit. Ludane, what do we have over here? Inflicts damage with judgment, removes all beneficial effects from 1 target. Okay, could be an AoE strip-ish. They're all super horrendously on the base speed, actually. So that's a downside. Normally, units don't get more base speed when they awaken, right? Like, you already have your high base speed in that awakening. Same, for example, for a Mina. You already have that base speed over there. So those are going to be low base speed units. But I'm expecting something from this dude. This dude, Purion, might be really nice. Well, this one we did already have mentioned. Has the higher chance of stunning. I'm pretty sure that will go up to 100%. And then this is going to hit on everything, which might be interesting. Hellhounds. Hellhounds, of course, this one was mentioned already. This skill is not changed, which I think the one would be interesting to change. But we also have Tark in there. And Tark is a team-up unit. which means that Tark might be new PvE meta if he teams up better than this. If he teams up with 3, for example, or he gets some, well, this skill. Is that the same skill as this? No, it is different than Bite. So he has a different change potential on this skill as well. And it does damage according to your speed. Interesting. Actually, I remember this. People were using this back in the days where they went multiple Tarks and then a Vert or something even before Ikaru was released. I can see Tark being interesting as well. Gamir. Gamir! Never seen this unit in my life. The lower the HP, the higher your attack power will be. It has a passive, so since it has a passive unit, if it becomes some kind of damage increaser, could be interesting for Temple of Chaos. If we're looking at a damage increase over here, it might also be a Giants meta kind of unit. And I could see this thing becoming a Giants or Dragons meta, maybe more Dragons. Shamar, sorry, the other one is Shumar, I think. Attacks and stuns and reduce the attack speed for 1 turn. I think that this is going to be like an attack, stun, pushback, and that kind of shenanigans. This will be the same skill 1 and skill 2 as the fire. And then we have Shumar, which is arguably fastest unit in game because he gains a 15 speed right on top of his passive. And then the speed increases as your HP decreases. So he's going to get even more speed. And he has a speed scaling skill on the ambush on the S2. So I think Shumar and Tark might be very interesting. We already saw Seek. I think he's just going to be nice-ish for the base stat improvement. And if we're going to go to the net 3s, I have high hopes for Purion. Purion might be pretty nice. And the others, I could see this one potentially being something, but mainly Purion and the others. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about these units. Maybe you have some different ideas on these units. Most of the time, these patches, when they do a dev talk, they are coming pretty fast. Last update was on the 27th. That is a week ago right now, so I'm expecting this patch probably to happen somewhere around the 9th, 10th, or 11th of March. So that's going to be early on next week. I think it is nice to have a little bit of trying out something new. It is probably recommended to start saving a bunch of your, no, not buying any packs. Start saving a bunch of Dimension Hole energy to do this one over here, or at least get like some material in for making some 2A's. Also, if you're more free-to-play-ish, wait until some content creator made a 2A and then decide if you want to make that 2A. Let them take the bite and the bullet on actually wasting their dimensional energy and just save yours. So just watch me, watch a Shambi, watch a whatever. Like, there's a lot of people out there that will probably go right into the ones that are interesting. Once we have all of the skills, you know where to find the video on that as well. That's going to be here on the channel. Follow the channel, guys. Thanks for subscribing if you haven't yet, and that kind of good stuff. And it is a 4 a.m. and 22, and I'm still yapping, and I should be going to sleep. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Let me upload this video, and she's always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.